Overlook Phase 5 in the amount of $184,304.50.
I have a letter that for supervisors related to this.
Yeah, I'm sorry, can you make sure you speak up? I know there's not a microphone there.
Sure. I have a letter dated July 23, 2009 related to this request for release of funds. It's the first work that's occurring on the project. It came in late last month, so that's why we're two of them on the agenda tonight. There's just some earthwork activities, erosion and sedimentation control, and some storm drainage work going on at the site right now. And I make the recommendation for the release of $134,304.
Any questions from Dan on it? Is there a motion to approve that first release?
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. For 086-2017, it's the second release of funds for the same Overlook Phase 5. As Dan described, there's another $89,151 that he's recommending to be released.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. For 087-2017, it's considered the first release of funds related to the installation of public improvements for the Windsor Woods Phase 4 in the amount of $1,044,939.
Mr. Chair, I have a letter dated June 29th also on the same subject. This work up there has been completed for some time. This is the first opportunity that they had to make a release. And that's why I'm making this recommendation for that reduction in that amount.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve that first release for the Windsor Woods Phase 4?
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The motion carries. For 080-2017, it's the final release of funds for the installation of off-site improvements for the Quattro 2 development in the amount of $147,500.
This particular one, I have a letter dated June 29th.
One second, Dan. Bruce, will that microphone work that far away? Can you just bring it down there, please? Everybody wants to hear what you have to say, Dan.
But good. This particular release is for off-site improvements that were required as part of the Zenith Ridge development. The developer had to do some improvements at the intersection of Town Center Way, South Point Boulevard. That work was inspected and found to meet the requirements of both our office, I believe Bill was involved, and PennDOT had to be there related to the signal work. Everything has been accomplished, and the project has been signed off on, and there's a recommendation now for full release of this money.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve that final release?
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. For 089-2017, it's a payment application number 3 and the final to Youngblood Paving for the 2017 maintenance program. Contract 8 in the amount of $42,643.78.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This will conclude Contract A with Youngblood Paving and close it out for all their work. All punch list items have been addressed.
Great. Is there a motion to approve that?
I make that motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. For 090-2017, it's consider payment application number 2, which is the final to Youngblood Paving for contract B, an amount of $9,436.08.
Again, this is the final payment for Contract B, and all punch list items have been addressed. Everything's in order.
Okay. A motion to approve that payment?
I make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. For 091-2017, it's payment application number 2 and the final for the Coleman Road retaining wall construction project. in the amount of $52,485.05.
Again, this is the final payment. All items on Coleman Road have been addressed, and the road's open to traffic.
Motion to approve that final payment from the,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries. For 092-2017, it's to consider authorizing the advertisement for the township's pollution reduction plan as required by PADEP for the township's municipal separate storm sewer system MS4 permit.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this was the item that Ryan Murder from our office was here to describe to the township last month, what the pollution reduction plan is. And that plan is now in order to be advertised. And in order for it to meet the requirements of the permit, we need your authorization to advertise this evening.
Dan, I know it was described to us, but do we get any kind of cost associated with that as we try to do that reduction,
Sure.
pollution reduction?
The idea is within the next 5 years, we have to deal with 10% reduction. The actual cost and projects is still evolving. What we're putting in now is ideas, and that's what the DEP has requested. They realize that this is a fluid plan, it's going to change. They just need to want to get something down on paper. But for instance, there's high, if we can find some stream restoration projects, like improving the bed and banks along stream beds, like through property that the township owns, similar to what we did with the municipal building, that has a really high value and you can get a big bang for your buck out of that. So again, we're trying to put ideas down and not focus on specific projects so as to not tie us to a dollar amount, but we'll continue to pursue that.
I'm glad you said that's an advantage to our park too. I mean, it helps us meet that reduction and yet it saves park areas.
Yes. But that's just one idea. Again, remember this plan, this is the first time we're doing this. The DEP is changing. They're really not even familiar. They're giving us updates on what they want to see as we get very close to the report period and the deadline for submission. And it's our recommendation to be as generic as possible so as not to tie us down to anything one in particular. And I think that we'll continue to work with the township to put this in your budget for next year as we did for doing the plan this year. We'll put some projects in that we feel that are worthwhile and get your approval on those. But again, what we're giving to the DEP is not tying us down to any one particular project. It's ideas.
One kind of question I have, is 10% significant? I mean, is it serious? Like to accomplish that, is that a hard number to reach?
10% of what?
10% below, let's say.
The reduction that we have to meet.
Let's say that the requirement is for 200 tons of sediment reduction, maybe 10% of 20 tons. That's two truckloads for it. So it's achievable. I mean, that's just one example. So in different areas, we'll have to do different projects, and what they do, the way they're going to do this is you're not even going to have to measure it. They're going to give a certain value for doing a certain thing. So I think that's where it's going to start off, and eventually, maybe 20 years from now, we'll start measuring these things more. As with any permit, like we described last month, it gets more strict as you move forward in the permit cycle. So we're really in the infancy right now. But we don't think that there's anything that's not achievable. Even street sweeping your streets gets you value for sediment removal. I mean, there's lots of things probably that we're doing already.
How far away do you think we are from like residential driveways and that, where anybody that had a driveway over 5,000 square feet that's either paved or in concrete, that they have to be able to control the runoff off of that driveway? Where in time frame years are we away from this being implemented?
Well, if you're going to put in a new driveway now that's over 5,000 square feet, if you're going to like a new house on a big lot, Bruce and I have already reviewed plans that have to get individual NPDES permits and have to do individual stormwater for those driveways.
Because I've heard in various other municipalities and boroughs, like for instance, North Fayette, where they already have like a guy that's in charge of stormwater runoff, and the residents are charged like $6.50 a month, $6.50 added on their water or sewage bill, I believe.
Yeah, that exists out there too. There's two different things there, Frank. I think I understand what you're saying now. So that's really a board decision, depending upon how much you want to get into stormwater and how much this overall plan is going to cost in the future. But there are municipalities out there, two of which I'm familiar with, that actually charge residents a monthly charge for stormwater. They use that for projects, and they use it for compliance with this requirement of this unfunded mandate of the MS4 permit. So to answer your question, that's something that we can talk about in budgeting going ahead in the future. I don't know what the township feels about that, or what the elected officials here feel about it, but we can give you some ideas what that does.
But is there like a time frame in 5 years? Do
No.
we have to be in compliance with this?
Nobody's requiring that right now for the fund to be created. What they're doing is they're setting up rules where you have to spend money and you're not generating, it's just coming out of your general fund for now. So the question is, do you want to set up a separate funding mechanism for those requirements in the future? And I think that's a board policy decision.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Everyone. You alluded to, yeah, the 10% of what is a baseline. Who establishes the baseline, or is that your generic overview that you're going to send in?
No, the baseline is established by the area that's involved. And then what we've done is we've tried to parse off different areas so that we take the very minimum look. And then there's a program, a computer program that generates these numbers that's acceptable to the Department of Environmental Resources. So they're using the same mechanism to determine the amount of loading on the system. So Lafayette's doing the same thing as Cecil, and Cecil's doing the same thing as North Urbane. Everybody's doing the same thing. Makes sense.
Is there a motion? Go ahead.
Just a quick question. If you have 10 or more acres, are you exempt from this?
No, but this is a township permit. This is overall the township's responsibility. It has nothing to do with individual property. We might go to somebody's property where there's a project that we could do and take credit for it, if they would give us an easement to do it. We could use private property to the benefit of the township complying with.
Wait, Dan, Elizabeth, are you talking now about what Frank brought up about the individual coverage on a lot, or are you still talking about the township pollution reduction plan?
Talking about both?
Well, there are two separate things.
Any property, I'll give you a couple real quick rules. In our new ordinance that we have, our new stormwater ordinance, anybody that creates over 5,000 square feet of impervious area is required to do stormwater management, period. That's the way it goes. That's the standard DEP formula that they've got these ordinances approved across the state. So we're in compliance with a modern stormwater management ordinance. Furthermore, if you disturb over an acre of ground, if you're a developer, a homeowner, it doesn't matter who you are, if you don't develop over and disturb more than an acre of ground, you're required to get your own individual federal permit, an NPDES permit for that activity. Bruce and I have reviewed a number of homes, big homes that have been constructed in the township that have created that much impervious, and they've gotten their own permits. So two separate things. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Sure.
Is there a motion to approve the township pollution reduction plan?
I make that motion.
Been moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion